mentors, all these different groups that are out there. We're all trying our best to bring security to as many people as we possibly can. And I don't think there's anybody that has as much dedication and consistency as Jared and Simply Cyber. It amazes me, because I remember where you started. I think I was on when you had like 100 people listening. It's grown since then, just a little bit, right? Also, he is also an award-nominated podcast, I believe.
Sans.
If you can do me a big favor, go to the Sans Different Makers website and please vote for Simply Cyber. I think that it would be great. Without further ado, Jared, take it away.
Thank you. Can I have that mic? Can I use this one?
Just pick that one up.
All right. All right. Welcome to the party, pal. This is going to be good. All right. I am super pumped to be here. Guys, if I asked you, how has cybersecurity and knowledge evolved over time? Think about the answer to yourself. You might be thinking kind of very one-dimensional, like, oh, it used to be elite and toxic, and now it's not. Maybe you're thinking a little bit different. But what I want to do in this talk is really explore many, many different dimensions, including perhaps it's cybercrime. We got these great stats. By the way, perplexity.ai, wonderful site for getting citable research instead of ChatGPT making up stuff. But as you can see, over time, no surprise, 2000 up to 2016, it was kind of a steady incline, and then ransomware took off, and it goes buck wild, right? There's damages, people want to stop that, so there's a growth in that. Also, threat actor evolution. Used to be, whatever, someone in their basement kind of doing the entire kill chain. Then it evolved into threat actor groups, and now we've got affiliate models and ransomware as a service. So that has absolutely evolved. And even shout out to Anti-Siphon. I love Anti-Siphon. Shout out to Worldwide Wednesday, which is something we do on Simply Cyber every Wednesday. Education has become accessible to everyone, right? We live in the freaking golden age of access to education. So what I want to do in this talk is get you buckle up, all right? Lock in, because what we're going to do is kind of a, chronological look. We're going to go back in time. We're going to look at the dark ages. We're going to see where we came from, because for me, I'm a big fan of learning from our past, right? So we don't repeat mistakes and we can lean into things that are working. I'll split current state into a couple different dimensions. Like I said, it's not really myopic on, where are we going or how are we evolving. I think some of these things are going to surprise you, frankly. We'll look at some of the issues that we're encountering today and how we can come over those issues and solve them. And then ultimately, I want to inspire and lead us into the next kind of golden age and continue the proliferation of that. All right. Some of you, #TeamSC, know who I am, but some of you do not, okay? So really quick, John gave me a great intro, but I spent 20 years in GRC. I know many of you red teamers are probably getting up and going somewhere else right now, but trust me, there is value in GRC. I did have a splash of blue, but that's my bread and butter and kind of where my mindset is. This is me at the Simply Cyber Community Meetup. You can see I'm right there, I got a little arrow poking on my head. This is the recent one in Vegas. When John said I love community, I love support, that's my jam, okay? I love cybersecurity, like probably an unhealthy amount, and I love helping people. So this intersection is absolutely dope. And shout out to my wife and my family, because without them, this doesn't happen, okay? All right, so let's get into it. Gather around the campfire. Magic Gathering people might know this. Shout out to Haircut Fish for his custom memes, because I love telling stories and, here's how it was. This is one for all the Gen Z people in the chat. I'm not an ageist, but you guys, you don't know, you spring children. All right, so let's talk about the dark ages. Let's get dark, okay? I don't know about you guys, but for me, the subtitle looked like a bootleg Atari Pac-Man game. Anybody, Atari 2600, the ghetto janky Pac-Man? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's terrible. Okay, so let's go. All right, this was the internet. Okay, these are BBSs. I know many of you know. This was like a good one too, by the way, okay? You got a 2400 baud modem, you're screaming at your brother or your sister not to pick up the phone. They were bulletin board systems, right? This was basically the internet. By the way, here's another fact that I just came up with. There used to be long distance fees. You could only call in your area code or you're gonna get like this ridiculous bill at the end of the month. So you couldn't even call all the BBSs. You can only call like the 3 in your area. Ugh, okay. All right, let's talk about education. How would you get education back then? I would ride my bike to Barnes & Noble, read 2600, and because I didn't want to, well, I didn't have a credit card, I was a kid, but this is how we got education. Came out quarterly, and a lot of the information in it was theory. So here's how you do a blue box to get free phone calls. It's cool, but it wasn't really explained how to do it, what's the law around that. Just kind of giving people not quite loaded guns and letting them run, but it wasn't always practical. Anybody 2600? Any memories? All right, we got some hands in here. Oh, geez, I love it. The fashion, oops, wrong slide. Oh, geez. So this is a shout out to Haircut Fish, another one. Got that sweet Jenko action. Okay. Like I said, it was the dark ages, okay? We've come a long way. Let's talk about the tech that we had access to, okay? Literally, my first computer, 33 megahertz, and that sucker screamed, right? I think I had 25 megabytes of RAM. It was sick, right? And lots of floppy disk. Of course, we didn't have internet or cloud. Shout out to this really quick. I don't know if this is going to resonate with anyone. Do you see the turbo button? I think I'm going to kick it up a notch this weekend. Ding! Literally, no one ever not had it on. It's the dumbest thing ever. All right. Let's talk about educational opportunities. This is the one that, I'm an academic. I love education. I love knowledge share. And this one really hurts, okay? There were really limited accesses. Clearly there wasn't online as it is known. Even the BBSs, I don't know, this is probably gonna speak to 4 people in chat, in the audience, excuse me. I remember downloading the Jolly Roger cookbook. I'm ooh, this is dangerous. It was on two floppy drives. There was limited anything, right? That you couldn't get information. You specifically couldn't get information in certain niche areas that you were interested in. Oh, I'm into, whatever. Well, Freaking probably had the most, but for the most part, you're not getting web app information and reversing and all that stuff. And the training was actually expensive if you could get it, which basically eliminates tons of people. You either had to join the military and hope your MOS, excuse me, got you into some type of tech role, or you could pay, I guess it's safe to say it in this circle, right? You could pay sans prices, and that's just not accessible to everybody. Of course, in the dark ages, there's information hoarding. Now, this is a really interesting cultural dynamic. Companies were spending tons of money on information security to protect their internal assets because there's no information sharing analysis centers, there was no insider community collaboration, stuff like that. People were hoarding it, which means you're getting these silos of people who are doing it right but not really helping each other, which is bad for everybody, right? Remember the Rainbow series? The military developed these, classified. Have these in your bathroom, it's gonna not be good. These are OG, right? But this was very coming up with the original, in my opinion, NIST 853. Shout out to NIST. Okay? Thank you. Find me later, I'll buy you a beer, whoever did that. There it is. All right, also hoarding information, and I think this one's gonna resonate the most with people, even casual cyber fans, right? Cultural dynamics, right? The movie Hackers, back in the day in the 90s, it was how elite you were, how sick could you crack whatever, right? I could hack the Gibson. The movie Hackers really captured this, and if you're familiar with the movie, this is Joey. Joey was the young one. Angelina Jolie, Johnny Lee Miller, they're having a hack battle back and forth. Innocent stuff, minus getting that guy arrested. But Joey wanted to be cool, right? And he ends up hacking the Gibson. Spoiler alert, although you've had 40 years, I think it's okay. Joey hacks the Gibson so he can get that street cred, right? So it wasn't collaboration. It wasn't, hey, how can I help you? Hey, check this out. Look over here. It was much more F you, this is mine, you're not cool, get out of here. And that's where that toxicity came in, because it was I'm lead and you're not, so, go away. There were socioeconomic barriers, right? Dude, internet is all over the place now. A lot of rural areas did not have internet or access to BBSs. If no one in your community had a BBS, guess what you were dialing into? A BBS, right? And lack of role models and mentorship. So even if you lived in a city that had access to resources, perhaps there isn't somebody in your family or someone in your community that is just giving you access and inspiring you and helping you discover that this is a way to be, right? You're oh, I guess my only option is to be a farmer or whatever. Like, you lack that. All right. So again, I know I'm dredging you guys through the dark ages, but it matters, okay? Practitioners were isolated. Many of the reasons I just covered outline why. But even if you had access to resources, even if you were all in and go read 2600 and downloading the things and hacking at home, trying to hack your Atari, you didn't have friends to share it with. You couldn't be inspired. You couldn't innovate. You couldn't get a different opinion. It's because it was isolated, and it really, really was tough. DEF CON 1, 1993, was one of the earliest conferences for that collaboration, and look at it today. We have conferences literally all over the place for knowledge share, even to the point of being very, very niche. Just to call out the consequences, because I'm about to pivot into the golden age here, those isolation things, slower to response, I mentioned innovation already, slower to respond. Guys, when there's a hack right now, right? CISA has the known vulnerability, exploited vulnerability catalog. There's ISACs for threat intel shares and stuff like that. We didn't have that. Look at this, Gangsta. Anybody recognize this dude? Mr. Morris, Robert Morris, famous for the Morris worm, okay? One of the OG, viruses. He didn't write it to be mean or to take down the internet, but he took down the internet. Part of the problem was there wasn't a way to communicate with the blue team, for lack of a better term, the IT people, on how to address this issue, which led it to persisting and being a bigger problem than it was. So, literally, can you imagine taking down the entire internet? That's unfathomable at this point. Although Facebook does a good job with BGP updates occasionally. All right, so just like malls and the arcades, right? Everything comes to an end, and this is the end of the dark ages, thank God. Welcome to the dawn of enlightenment, and this is where I live. I'm a big rainbows and unicorns kind of guy, right? What ushered us into this dawn? What took us from those dark ages? Widespread internet adoption might be the go-to that most people think of, oh, we got tech, so it's cool, right? Actually, there's a couple more reasons, in my opinion. You can see formal education started. Purdue University started a cyber program. Computer science program started including cybersecurity. So we started to get more formalized, more knowledgeable. Regulatory requirements, obviously, FISMA came out in 96. Not obviously, nerd. FISMA came out in 96, started pushing these requirements. You needed practitioners, auditors, engineers to implement these things. But the one that I think gets overlooked the most, in my opinion, is this bottom left one. Gen 1 matures. So the people who were kicking butt and doing all sorts of fun stuff in the 90s, they became older, right? And they saw the bigger problems, the strategic issues, and understood that what they went through, those challenges they experienced, the next generation did not need to experience that. John Strand is a perfect example of someone who pushes back in to the community to enable you to stand up, level up, and stand on the shoulders of giants, quote unquote. I mean, John's tall, but let's be real. Community, okay? This is, anybody? GeoCities, right? Athens was kind of where I lived, but listen, the online community space started rocking. This pushed the BBS to the next level. Now, obviously, this is Web 1.0, so it's a little janky. If you haven't seen what Web 1 looks like, this is it. But it allowed people to start to create their own spaces and share their own ideas. Very early on, you could have my hackerspace or my tinkering with Atari space or whatever. I couldn't find one for a slide here, but it became accessible. If you could get on the internet, you could find far more opportunities to learn and meet with community. It started proliferating. We have Reddit, right? NetSec on Reddit, Cyber on Reddit. You got mail. Everybody got those discs, right? How many, just ripping through 40 hours of discs a week, right? Wilder's forums. Anonymous, fun fact, grew out of 4chan. So these online communities begin sharing and begin collaborating. Now, I'm not saying I promote or condone Anonymous. My point is that these online communities begin to form and coagulate and take on the ability to level up the individuals who are part of them. But it wasn't just online, it was also in real life. And again, I feel like this is one of these things where you say it, you're like, oh, it's so obvious, but you may not have considered it. Regional. Dude, if you didn't live in DC or LA, maybe you didn't have access to these opportunities. So I just want to work a pew-pew map into my talk, so there we go. But look at these talks. This is a recent slide. You have talks in Austria, Germany, the United Kingdom, Thailand, Asia. Black Hat is in 3 different, kind of continents or whatever. No matter where you live, no matter what you're up to, you can get to a conference. You can share and meet people, other professionals. And it doesn't, another thing that people don't think about, right? Diversity and inclusion. Seeing people that, can inspire you. Raíces, which I believe is roots in Spanish, but Latin Hispanic focused cybersecurity community to help people in that community. WIXIS, Blacks in Cyber, the Diana Initiative, like these initiatives, these groups are growing up and helping each other and providing access to resources. And by the way, pointing out, it's not exclusive. Like I've done work with Raíces, I've done work with WIXIS, so it's much more communal focused and all about it. You can get focused, right? You want to be a red teamer, go do red team. You want to get into reversing, boom, there you go. It's not just generic conferences where you hope there's talks that relate to you. Even industry focus, right? Critical infrastructure, you've got, state and local, SLED, we've got law enforcement. It's awesome. Industrial control systems, I counted them because they're pretty strong, right? The S4 in Miami, if you've ever been to that party. And my favorite, obviously, this Wild West Hacking Fest is my favorite. The community, you guys and ladies, you're here. You know what this con's about. You know how the vibe is. This didn't exist, okay? Like, it just didn't exist. And by the way, quick shout out to Velda and the whole team who put this conference on. It's my favorite conference. Yeah. All right, Jerry, we got the community, but we need knowledge. What are we doing here? What's the solution? Let's give everybody education. You need practical skills and you need to be financially accessible. That is the 2 elements that you need. Oh, here, how's free? Is free work for you? Would you like to learn from industry pros? John Hammond in the back over there. John, love your work, right? TCM's in here, Hackersploit, Alexi. Like, you literally can go get like a focused, essentially like an associate's degree in a very specific tech stack or skill set on YouTube for free. Like, the paywalls are broken down. This is insane. Like, this is like my favorite part. Professor Messer, who doesn't know this guy, right? Probably half the people in this room with the Sec Plus went through this guy's program. Free, right? So good. And this guy, look at John Strand. Who doesn't know about John Strand's anti-siphon? Pay what you can. And he literally puts $0, circles it with a big red line and points to it. Like, we have to convince, I talk about this all the time. Like, having to convince, I see Deb Wigley posting on social media, this isn't a scam, like, it's legit, we're really giving away free education, get in here, right? Setting the tone, setting the standard, making high quality, cutting edge, industry, practical skill education. It's just in a financially accessible way, it's amazing. Okay, we got the community, we got the knowledge, but tooling, we've got to get hands-on skills. How's the tooling work, Jer? Well, don't worry, we got you. GitHub, community resources. Dude, a lot of great tools nowadays are open source, right? Tim Tome's right here, this guy, he's coming up right after me. He's got all sorts of tools, and even tools that are requiring licenses, he writes ones that are open source versions of it. You can get that. So you wanna play around with vulnerability scanning? How's a $0 license count? Like, you wanna do reversing? Go ahead, get IDA, get Binwalk, get whatever. The resources are there. This isn't 1990 where it's exclusive or super expensive. Even the Kali builds, right? I just threw this up here because everybody's familiar with Kali build. It grew, continued to be supported. Every one of us can download the Kali build. Every one of us has downloaded the Kali build at some point, right? And then it starts building up, right? Furthering into what I'm talking about, the Flare VM, Kali Purple, giving the blue team, giving the defenders a leg up on a cool build. And blogs and podcasts. Again, sharing information in whatever ways possible. Now, I love Bruce Schneier, and I know a lot of people who might be like, oh, blog is so 2001, Jerry. All right, well, I got news for you. Hold on, what is it going to do? Blogs, I have seen blogs. Eric Capuano, I think he already left. Great security researcher, blue teamer. He did the training here. Some of you probably took it. He's got a blog post, one blog post. So you want to be a SOC analyst. So many people have gone through that blog and gotten practical skills and gotten what they need to be able to get interviews and prove that they know what they're doing. And it's just a blog post. Like, sharing that knowledge is hugely valuable. I do a podcast, right? Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Maybe some of you have heard of it. This is a cool thing. I didn't even think about, like, not that I'm like some great shakes, but like this was brought to my attention by somebody. A podcast has implicit value. You're listening to a podcast and maybe you don't understand the words that are being said, or they're getting off track and going deep down a rabbit hole and you don't know what they're saying, but you hear the words. You can run the podcast back. You can listen again. You can pause it. You can Google. You can do the work yourself. You have all the tools available to you to take the initiative and level yourself up. And I think that that's amazing. In fact, one particular individual who I know is watching at home right now told me, he said, because what I do on the Daily Cyber Threat Brief, just to back up, is like there'll be a story, I'll pause it, and I'll break the story down on what is actually valuable to a practitioner on how we can use this story about a ransomware incident at a healthcare facility in Seattle. How can we use this to make our businesses better, our stakeholders better, reduce risk? So what he'll do is he'll listen to the story and pause it, and then he'll come up with his own thoughts. And then he'll play mine to see how it jives against what I was saying versus what he's saying. And I think that's such a clever way to further derive value from the podcast. So, in my opinion, at this point, between the community, the knowledge, the resources, you as an individual have everything laid out right before you. You're sitting down at like a workstation with all the resources, everything, right? Or a proverbial workstation. So now you're empowered. You have everything right there at the taking. You're not limited because of money or internet access or asking somebody who's done it before what to do. Individuals are empowered. This is the most powerful thing of the dawn of like the enlightenment age that we're in right now. I really, truly believe we live in the golden age, and I want to see it continue. We got knowledge, we got tools, we got community. Socioeconomics, let's break that down. All right? This is a quick one. Basically, people have computers and internet nowadays. In 95, 9% of people had internet. That's not very good, but now with everybody having internet and cell phones, it obviously becomes more accessible. Let's enable diversity. Shout out to Dakota State University. Go Trojans. I have degrees from there. I love Dakota State University. They run the CyberHer program, K through 12 STEM, empowering young women to learn about technology and skill up and be able to apply that knowledge to push into a tech or STEM role. You can get mentorship. Again, a lot of people, can join community, but some people are introverted. Some people are shy. Some people don't know or feel intimidated. Well, guess what? There are formal mentorship programs. MITRE's got one. Social innovation, right? I talked about those diversity programs earlier. Even community, right? So I do work with Mount Wachusett Community College up in Gardner, Massachusetts, and they have workforce development programs. So you don't even need to go to a 4-year degree. You can do kind of these apprenticeships where you go through 3 or 4 classes, get practical hands-on skills, and they've partnered with community businesses to have an onboard apprenticeship for you. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I included this. I asked Stacy if I could do this. This is Stacy Loki Day. Stacy and I are friends. She's a member of the Simply Cyber community, right? Hashtag Team SC. And she posts, and I want to call your attention to, she's got a picture of herself in here. Stacy was born in Mexico. She's an American, so she's Mexican-American. And she told me, I literally post pictures, when I do my post, I include a picture of myself because I want Mexican-American females to see someone that looks like them and understand that this isn't for one demographic or one person type only, that anyone can do it. She's crushing it, by the way. She's over at Wiz right now. Oh, she's killing it. Really enjoyed watching her. Oh, and as a bonus, some PhD research. When you actually have diverse groups, surprise, you get like heterogeneous ideas and thoughts. It's not 5 people in the same room with the same background, same education, all saying the same thing and nodding. Right? You get different perspectives, which can lead to better outcomes on whatever you're working on. Tech is improved too, right? We didn't used to have frameworks, okay? The cyber kill chain, whatever. Say what you want about Lockheed Martin. Like, the cyber kill chain's brilliant. It's always following the kill chain. It allows everybody to figure out, like, oh, if I can break this chain, it's good to go. Or if I'm learning pen testing, I've got to go through these steps. MITRE ATT&CK, like, dude, MITRE ATT&CK is massive value. It feels like a cheat code for the defenders, in my opinion, because it allows us to understand what these different threat actor groups are doing. And then, of course, near and dear to my heart, as a GRC person, I already told you at the beginning, just to forewarn you, this cybersecurity framework is hands down my favorite framework of all. It's powerful. It allows implementation. Dude, guys, in the 90s, like you would just hire the IT person and be like, make us secure. And like, how? What's that mean? Like you just kind of like throwing patches at things. There was no comprehensive approach to how to secure things. And NIST CSF gave us that. I'll just spend a minute on AI because I felt if I didn't, it wouldn't be a legit talk since AI sucks the oxygen out of every conversation. But we've got AI. AI is going to help us quite a bit. I am firmly of the position, like I feel like I should put the sign right here on the board that says AI is going to be better for SecOps than for Red Team, fight me, or whatever that meme is. I would probably say fight me. But we're seeing all sorts of benefits helping practitioners execute. I included this one, and these are from Perplexity AI, so I can cite these if anyone disagrees. 80-90% positive identification rates on malware. So this is malware, this is not malware. That level of efficacy leads to better outcomes because you're not like going down a rabbit hole trying to search into something that's a false positive, which saves you from burnout, which saves you from, gives you the more time to be able to look at true positives, which makes you better, right? So AI, super good. The tech is helping everybody. All right, baby, we're cruising. Again, I hope this gives nostalgia vibes. Obviously, the whole vibe's got this like 70s, early 80s Reading Rainbow kind of vibe. Does anybody remember the textbook? Did anybody get this in school? Like, oh my God. Well, it may have been after you. So this is like maybe 6th grade. The internet comes out and they gave us a textbook on it. Anyways, we're cruising, right? The information superhighways, they used to call it. So let's talk about the future, okay? I'm sorry, Tim, I'm going a little long. Let me expedite this, okay? Let me shape the future, okay? I challenge you. This is where I want to go with this talk. I laid out why it used to suck. I laid out why today it's good, but we need to keep it going. Keep the momentum going, okay? Cybersecurity is wicked hard, guys. There's no easy button. There's no cruise control, all right? So I challenge you. You can do it many different ways, but give into the community. You can go whole ham and go social media like LinkedIn and Twitter and Twitch here. Excuse me, I'm now racing. YouTube and Twitch. We see Jason Blanchard. He does his Twitch streams and helps people get jobs. Slay Security Plus, this guy right in the front row, Jesse Johnson, helping people get their Security Plus, right? You don't have to be a 20-year industry practitioner and have a studio to go live and help people. Maybe video's not your thing. Maybe you're introverted. You could write a book. Look at Zanette Kamal here. She wrote a book helping children see themselves in cyber roles. Social media, this is a good one. There's Kathy Chambers. Kathy on LinkedIn sharing her story, right? Serena on TikTok. Find the platform that works for you and share. Help, okay? There's that blog post I told you about. Don't sleep on blogs. Gossy the dog's got a sick blog. I love his. Maybe you don't even want to be online. Maybe you work all day on a computer and you're like, F this, I don't want to do this anymore. Go talk to a high school. Go talk to a local community. Tell them what's going on. Make them understand that this is an option. It's not for everybody. I'll be real. I would love if everybody worked in cyber, but it's not for everybody. But if you don't know, how can you make the choice? Whoops, hold on. Okay, you can do GitHub. Shout out to Red Siege. I know they're all busting their hump over there. Just a Zoom call. It's a safe space to be part of it. You could be day 0 in cybersecurity, and you can jump on this call. No judgment. All right, so let's let them cook. All right, that's as Gen Z as I'm going to get, Joseph, okay? This is probably the most important message I can give you. Whether you do anything, don't let perfection impede progress. I see so many people who have ideas or want to contribute or help out, and they're like, oh, it's just not right, or I'm tinkering with it, or I'm going to do it soon, right? Bump that. Just push it. Send it. Right? Don't let perfection impede progress. Go look at a Simply Cyber video from 2019, and it's a total yard sale, okay? Just keep pushing forward. Your impact will exceed your perception, okay? You might think that you're helping, you start a YouTube channel or whatever, you got 10 views, you do a LinkedIn post, you get 20 impressions. Okay, well, those aren't good numbers. Of those 20 people, you have no idea. Maybe you start that rock down the top of the hill and it starts peeling down and picking up speed and impacting. It stuns me when I have people come up to me and tell me some of the impact I've had on their career from things that I forgot about altogether. Like, don't let Don't let perfection slow you down, okay? And just know that you're helping people, because I'll tell you, okay, no matter where you are, everyone in this room, no matter where you are, maybe you just passed Sec Plus, maybe you just got your first job, maybe you're a 20-year industry pro, wherever you are, there's literally somebody standing right behind you, looking at you going, damn, I wish I could do that. Like, I really want to pass that Sec Plus. So don't get in your own head about where you are and what you're doing. Just know that you can impact and help others. All right. My name's Jerry. That's my talk. I appreciate it. If you got questions or you want a high five, come find me. Let's go. Thank you for your time.